Good morning from Yummy BTV. Wishing you all well, sending splendid love to you all as usual. I'm about to travel again, got loads of work to do this week. Another Cat A bomb coming up in the next day or two. But you've been asking me about this subject for quite some time. I'll give you my version and do it in the best way possible while I'm in the mood to deliver bombs today. There's another bomb coming up today as well that you've been asking me about for quite some time. The man that you've been asking about for quite some time is the man they call the cornerman Andy Baker. Now, a bit of background. He's believed to have been on the fringes of some of the greatest true crime names of all time. So hearsay, the A-Team, obviously Palmer, Goldfinger, definitely in the picture there, amongst a lot of other people as well. My first description of Andy Baker is he was a social shamalot, known to be a bit of an enforcer, cheeky chappy as well, mixed in high society places, felt more comfortable. It's the general consensus, felt more comfortable away from big name villains, if you get what I mean. He thrived more in the personnel of high society figures. Now there's a lot of talk that he muscled in on a lot of places, and the name the cornerman comes from his slice of every single deal, and probably a bigger slice than what he was supposed to get from a lot of those so-called things that he was meant to have been involved in. Now, I recently just finished a sentence for some drugs thing that I haven't really looked into that too much. But I know that over the West Country, Bristol, that kind of area, he was very, very kind of a main figure. If not in London, even though he used to travel around doing a lot of business here, there and everywhere. I believe that he had links to Plymouth as well. There was a biker gang of some kind called the Aquila. The president of that man as well. I've got photos of him if you need them. That guy was allegedly meant to have stabbed up a man 10 times down there. Might have got off or gone to prison for it, I'm not sure. But I know that he was in contact with Andy Baker at some stage, and maybe have even been involved in the case with drugs. We're not going to go into that for now, but definitely Andy Baker is, by all general consensus, is mentioned in a lot of that life that we talk about so freely on Yummy BTV. Now, the story, give it to you straight. Now, we knew that there's been so many rumours about Gilbert Winter and him going missing and him being buried here and there and him being affiliated to the A-Team. Now, it was said, and it's quite simple, it's not just me who says it. I think it's on a few platforms. It's been mentioned before that a man who had a nightclub, Gilbert Winter, was allegedly meant to be putting a squeeze on him. That nightclub owner went to Andy Baker and said, look, if you could have a word with him, I'll give you 30% of my business and that kind of thing. Rumour again, hearsay. Now, what is fact is that he got arrested, Andy Baker, for, the so-called murder. We don't actually know, do we, of Gilbert Winter. Now, that's where the hearsay came from, as far as I know. Now, when he got pulled in by the police, he never got charged. But there were 6 witnesses that claimed to say that he told them this and he told them that, or some kind of nonsense like that. Now, I can tell you, we was talking about protective custody the other day. The difference between going on a vulnerable prisoner's wing and protective custody, rightly said by many of you, is quite different now. Interesting that some of those witnesses, I don't know, maybe all 6, ended up in protective custody on, being frightened of the reputation of Andy, the cornerman Baker, basically. So I find that very strange as well, considering he never got charged and ended up in prison for it, because after all, it's not really fact. But with that reputation, obviously they felt fear and whatever, and the police tried to do what they could do to probably get them to say this and that, and then it hasn't worked out, and then they're, shitting themselves and needing a bit of support. And apparently the police helped him in all that. My conclusion to this is that, with my knowledge, I find it very difficult to believe that Andy Baker could have been involved in Gilbert Winter's thing. They were, on the same kind of page in that way, but Andy Baker all said and done, had many more skills than Gilbert Winter had, not in a real bad way. And again, I struggle to believe that Andy Baker himself would have committed such a crime. Maybe others can, he could get others to do it, and that kind of thing. Is always a thought and a method behind the thinking, if you get what I mean. But again, we reiterate that we believe that Andy Baker actually played no part in that. There was a rumour as well with the Queen's Park Rangers football ground and football team that they'd put the squeeze on the chairman and was getting him to resign and wanted a piece of that as well. Again, without foundation and not really factual, because he never went to court or trial for it, or if he did, or they did try it, he didn't get convicted. So we say maybe a Teflon Don as well, Andy Baker, because he seems to be able to not get his name wrapped up in everything. But again, no real hardcore facts and evidence now. There's obviously little alarming bits as well now. I don't know whether you lot knew this, but when him and Palmer, when they were in Tenerife together at some, well, definitely in Tenerife at some stage, where, again, it's known, said and done, that people were saying that Andy Baker was muscling in on their little bits and pieces. That John Palmer told me categorically in Belmarsh, he said, no, Yami, I walked up to him one day and I said, stop, just, you can do what you're doing, but don't tread on my toes. Don't start getting involved in my kind of stuff. Now, that's what Goldfinger Palmer said to me. Other people say that it took place. Looking at the two figures, John Palmer was a bit heavy in that way. You couldn't really run all over John Palmer. You know what I mean? I don't put him as high up in that life, if you like, as many others, but the money side of things, yeah, he would have been a powerful figure in his character as well. He was he wouldn't back down, would he? You know, in that kind of way, as far as I remember and what I know. But did it take place? I leave that to your imagination, but that's what that was all about. But they definitely worked together. Now, at some stage as well, there was meant to have been a fallout with Goldfinger Palmer and the A-team. Now, they're meant to have gone on a meet, and, you know, Palmer might have told people that, oh yeah, I went there and I did put it to them all and all that. But my feeling behind that bit, if you want the God's honest truth, is he did probably try to say what he said, but it's very interesting that it wasn't too long after that meet that he ended up in Tenerife for a more quieter life, where he could do his timeshare thing. There's also rumours, of course, that he started lying in bed with Russians, right? I don't know how true that is. I wasn't there, but he was helping them do the Russian timeshare version to the one that he was doing, and they was taking money off him and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I think the mix up around the other stuff that, you know, they talk about his death and that thing and all that. So that story, I believe, is true. He did have links there too. Now, what was the other bits that I needed to incorporate in this view this morning? Very compelling, really. That, of course, all the paranoia surrounding the Brinks smack and the gold and all that. It was said in the Cat A's that Mickey McAvoy had said quite clearly to Palmer that all this money that you're getting down there and that, we believe that there's some of that from all of that, right? Definitely heard that. Don't know, of course, whether it's true or not. And the paranoia surrounding that gold, because, you know, everybody left out with Kenny Noy, and that's why him and Palmer were in the kind of same kind of dance and boat. But the robbers themselves who lost out and everything, and we know there's a lot of rumours surrounding all that. Well, apparently, Mickey McAvoy was still thinking that you've legged it and some of that money's mine, rightly so. Palmer could have that quieter life in Tenerife and Spain or wherever it is, wanted to get away from it all. There was even rumours he was lending out his jets to the Russians as well. So I think, if I broke that down the best I can, but giving you little bits of bobs around Andy Baker, the corner man. He's finished the sentence now. It's probably changed his life around, but we definitely have him as a figure of prominence, because his name does come into the picture a lot of the time. But after all, concluded is that, where's the facts? No real sentences or convictions to go with the rumours, and that's an all too familiar tale. Coming up very shortly, my first piece on John Hass, Liverpool's John Hass. Don't miss that. See you all soon.